what I really love about this newer team, and I say newer because you guys have been here less than a year, is just the determination to just get after it, you know, and that's truly the key here. Your determination to just get after it. So Jake and I came to the Alliance about 6 years ago, and we started out part-time. He was deployed to Afghanistan. I was a stay-home mom, had been out of the workforce for about 10, 12 years. We do have a special needs daughter, and we were homeschooling our kids at the time. And I started doing this literally just one day a week. I would make my phone calls on Friday evening to book appointments for Saturday. And that's how I started. And I did that for about 6 months. And we made some pretty good money in that. And I call it in 6 months, but really when you're working one day a week, it's like 24 days, right? And so I worked 24 days in that 2016 calendar year, and we brought in like 20 grand extra working 24 days. Of course, it was stretched out because it's just on Saturdays. And so I learned early on that you don't have to know everything. Just learn one thing and run with it until you learn the next thing and then run with it. So that's kind of how we started, just one day a week. And as our schedule allowed, we moved on to 2 days a week. And then we went full time, and Jake was able to retire from the military because of the income that we made here with the Alliance. And so just to touch on how it started, schedule is key. Schedule is key. And to this day, like I have all my activity books from every year that I've been here, but I still live and die by my activity book. Everything goes on here. Now you may run a digital calendar, and yes, I have a Google Calendar too and things like that. But throughout the day, as I'm quick making notes on things, I'm using my activity book because you can schedule your success. I can tell you what your week is going to look like if you just show me your calendar. I can show you if you have prepared to win. Have you prepared to win? So as a part-timer, you don't have to give full time on your schedule, but for the time that you have to give full effort. And that's the first thing I learned working just one day a week, was giving full effort on the days that I've got. No excuses, no backing down, no, well, I'll do it next time, or this time it's just not shaping up to be the right thing. I went to work every single Saturday for that 6 months. So even if you're part-time, if you decide with determined focus to use the time that you have, you will be wildly successful. And you're going to learn a lot as you go, because most of what we do here is caught, not taught. And you learn a lot of it by going to the events. And I will touch on that here in just a little bit. So the first thing that you got to get under control is your schedule. Decide where on your calendar are you going to like put your appointments. You got to have appointment time on there. That's how we make money here, is we get in front of people who need what we got. So how many times can you get in front of them? And it doesn't matter if you have 3 days available or 1 day available. How many people can you get in front of is the key. That's my original goal. It's so funny when I think about it, was to get 6 appointments on a Saturday. Like when I started out, that was my goal. If I could get 6 appointments on a Saturday. And when I would make my dials, at first it was daunting, you know, can I get the 6? And I couldn't always get the 6. But as you get consistent, a beautiful thing starts to happen. You start having follow-up appointments. You start having bam fams, book a meeting from a meeting. You have reschedules that they said they would be there last Saturday, but now they can't. They got to do it the next Saturday. Because again, I was just running Saturday, so I had to reschedule them for the next Saturday. And then it's got, okay, can I get 10? How many more can I fit in there? How can I pack my schedule for success? And being prepared for the no-shows, being prepared for the reschedules, because y'all, they're going to happen. So always take your leads with you. Always have your backup activity pre-planned. Always have the backup activity pre-planned so that in the moment, you don't have to waste time trying to figure out, what should I do next? What should I, you know, what's the next best step? And I've gotten a lot of questions over the years on like, how do you effectively, you know, do a door knock after you've got no-showed? How do you streamline that? And my answer is I don't. I pick up the first one on the pile and I go for it, because if I wasted time trying to figure out how to be more efficient, I wouldn't be effective. Always choose effective over efficient, because if you're effective, you can always figure out efficient as you go, but you can be very efficient at something and not effective at all. It'd be very efficient to do all my door knocks at 10 p.m. because most everybody's going to be home. But I guarantee they're not going to let me in, and I might end up with some personal injuries along the way trying to do it that way. So it would not be effective. So have your backup activity planned. And remember, as you're going through this, y'all, it feels like you're at war. It feels like a battle zone, like you're up early every run day, like that's your work day. And whether you had an early morning appointment or not, you got to get up and get out there as if you did, because you're preparing your body for what it's going to be moving forward. You're preparing your mind to what it's going to be like moving forward. And you're going to get out there and you're going to do a door knock first thing instead of an appointment first thing. But you have that activity planned. And so that was the thing that I learned. I didn't have full time, but I had full effort. And I worked the snot out of that day. So that at the end of the day, when I came home, 10, 11 o'clock at night, exhausted, wore out, mentally drained, because you're learning all this new stuff, I could look my family in the eye and say, I may not have got the results, but I gave it everything I had. I gave it everything I had in the time that I had to get it done. And that's your victory. Take victory in the things you can control. Take victory in the power of your schedule. Because if the results aren't there right in that moment, right? Because I equate us to farmers all the time. We're out there planting seeds as we go, and sometimes they harvest right away. Sometimes you have to cultivate them a little bit. You go back and have another meeting. Sometimes, they don't grow at all, right? We're farmers. We're working our field, right? But at the end of the day, if that day's results weren't what I wanted them to be, I can take comfort in the knowledge that my effort was above and beyond. So I could sleep good at night knowing I gave it all I had. And it may not have looked like somebody else's all. And the results may not look like how somebody else got results off the same activity, but I gave it my all. So I felt like I could look my family in the eye and say, by golly, I'm giving it everything I've got. Come hell or high water, I'm fighting for it. And I may not always be winning in that moment, but I am fighting for it. And y'all, you're going to lose a lot of battles in the pursuit to win the war. Don't get caught up on the big deal that didn't go through. Don't get caught up on getting a bunch of no-shows in one day. Get your coaching, adjust, fire, and get back in the fight. Because we will lose a lot of battles, but you don't have to win the war as long as you keep your head in the game and you're going to the right mentors and the right coaches along the way. And you have it in your upline, in your growing upline. You have it in the people on the leaderboards. You have it when you make those connections at the events. That's the arsenal. That's your battle buddies. I'm going to use Rachel as an example. She sent me a picture a few days ago of her and I the first time we met in person a year ago. I think was that in Houston, somewhere in Texas. I don't know. It was a meeting. She came to a meeting and we met and we connected and we kept in touch. And she and I, we're battle buddies. Right? We'll reach out when we're in the fight saying, hey, I need some ammo. What can you help me with here? Can I get a resupply? And that's what we do here in the Alliance. And so as long as you're in the fight, you're going to win the war. As long as you're in the fight, you're going to win the war. So no matter what your schedule looks like, put the success in there. Put the times you're going to dial on there. And when it's time to dial, give it all you got. Results don't matter. It's the activity. And when it's time to run, go, door knock, show up, run every appointment. So now you're in the home. And I know we're covering a lot of ground today, guys, but there's so much training you can get, but this is just the overall picture of it. Because when you're in the home, there's 4 basic things that we do. First, pick up the check or pick up the phone. And by that, I mean, you keep the main thing the main thing. If someone's asking for help with final expense, you help them with the final expense. And if you go through your presentation and they're not ready to move forward, call somebody. If you go through your presentation and you're not sure what products to offer, call somebody. you have support, you have backup. You're in business for yourself, but you are not by yourself. We are a team winning this war on poverty together. So the first thing you do in the home is pick up the check or pick up the phone. And I would say pick up the check and pick up the phone. You're always picking up the phone. That's the key ingredient. The next step would be uncover the big money. In our ATM, the Alliance Training Manual, it is our sales process. And we don't skip steps on our sales process. And there's a section in there where you ask financial questions. And your ability to calmly ask those questions will help you uncover the big money for the IULs, for tax-free retirement, for the large nest eggs, for annuities and things like that. Being bold and relentless on the basics is how you're going to find the big money deals. And y'all, in the beginning, I was scared to death of that. I wasn't scared to ask the questions. I was scared they was going to answer it because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing. I was afraid they'd say yes. Now you talk about crazy. That's how messed up I am. So if somebody's messed up as that can come out here and be successful, y'all know you can. But the point being, I was afraid that they would say yes, so I wasn't asking the questions. But yeah, we have resources. You don't have to be scared of the yes. You don't have to be scared of that. We have resources that will help you with those big money appointments. And all you have to do is uncover the potential for a big money client. And that's by asking those questions in the ATM on the Your Financial Picture page, filling out the green sheet that's available on the Alliance University, part of our in-home process. And when you discover that there's a possibility for a big money case, then you just book a meeting from a meeting, and you make sure if it's an IUL leaning type of case, you get Gina Hawks on that calendar, on her booking calendar, and you book her on there, and you go back that next week for that follow-up appointment, and you open up your laptop and you bring her up on Zoom and you let her run the appointment for you. She'll run the whole thing, start to finish. And then when it's time to do the paperwork and get paid, that's all you. You get to get paid for all of Gina's hard work. Same thing if it's an annuity client, you just book on Burlington Alliance Capital Management, their booking site. And y'all, that's on the ARC under the Connections tab. You just book a meeting and book them on a Zoom. You go back to your client's house, you bring up that Zoom meeting, and they run that big money appointment for you. So you don't have to be scared like I was. We didn't have all those resources when I first started, but they're there now, and I use them. Last year, I was the top annuity producer for the company. 2.3 million in personal production on annuities that issue paid, submitted more. We did move probably another 4 million under management with Burlington Alliance Capital Management. On every appointment, they were involved. I didn't run any of them by myself. Not that I'm not capable now. I've run enough of them to know that I know what I'm doing, but that is a resource that's there, that if there's something that I miss or something I overlook or a change that I'm not aware of, y'all put the professionals to work. They're on payroll. Andy pays these people to help us wear them out, make them go to bed at night so exhausted that they feel like they earned every penny of that paycheck that they're getting. Do not ever let them feel like, wow, I'm getting over this push job. They'll be like, no, they're working us so hard, we want a raise. That's how hard we want to work our resources. Because again, you don't have to know everything, but the resources you have in your toolbox, wear them out. Wear them out. If I told you that all you had to do was dig a 6-foot deep hole for $1 million, and you're standing there with nothing, no tools, you would find a rock, you would dig with your hands, you would use anything you could get your hands on until you discovered a better tool. Well, this is no different. If you only know one product, wear the one product out until you learn a second one. It's okay to reschedule and go back. And again, call from the home, and we will help you each step of the way. But don't let the fear of not knowing everything, side note, you can't, there's too much of it, but don't let the fear of not knowing everything, don't let it prevent you from going out there and helping people. Because in the beginning, remember, we're plowing the ground, we're farmers, we're softening that soil, we're tilling that soil, we're preparing it for a harvest to come. And so the more you get out there and do it, the more fertile that soil becomes. And in the beginning, it is messy. It is messy. It was like ignorance on fire. But even in the mess, you are learning and you are making a difference along the way. So pick up the check, find the big money, referrals. That's the third thing we do in the home. Get referrals. Especially if you're running lead appointments and not just warm market appointments. If you're running lead appointments, get referrals, y'all. Our leads don't die, they multiply. We have the ERS system and a whole section of training on how to utilize our emergency response system as a tool to help you get in front of more people. And no, it's not a bait and switch process. We are servicing our original client by setting up their emergency response system. But y'all, you'd be shocked at the number of people that when you set them up with their emergency response, somebody in their family is like, can you do that same thing for me? I don't think I have a plan like that. How do I get one of those? And it's just that simple. They start asking you for help because now you're the guy, right? If your cousin had a plumbing problem and you knew a good plumber and you recommended that plumber, they'd be like, yeah, my cousin knows this plumber and trusts this plumber. I'll use that plumber, right? We're no different. We want to become the guy. I want to be the guy that they know that they refer their family to. So get your referrals. And then number 4, recruit across the table. Tell everybody you're hiring. Let everyone knows we're looking for help to serve our community right where we are. I believe, honestly, my true foundational belief is we can change the world one community at a time. So if we start in our own backyard, bringing excellent service right where we work, and then we hire other people with a desire to do the same thing, to help the seniors right there where they live, to help the young couples who are just buying houses right where they live, right? If we can change just our community, we'll change the world because it has a compound effect, one community at a time. So recruit across the table. Let them know we're hiring. We have more people requesting our help than what I can go out and do. Y'all, where I live out here, we are south of Seattle in a county called Pierce County. There's over 800,000 people in the county I live in. 800,000 people. There's no way I can help all 800,000 of them by myself. We need more agents who are willing to go out and show up for their fellow community member. Ask who's looking. Ask who's had their hours cut since COVID. Who's had to transition into a new career since COVID. Who's looking for a better way since COVID happened. Who is looking for a better opportunity? Just ask. Putting it out there. And I don't care if you're sitting with somebody who's 80 years old, because that 80-year-old's got a grandchild somewhere who just graduated college and the job market ain't what it used to be, and they're looking for a shot. So you tell everybody, hey, we're hiring. Do you know of anybody that's looking to make some extra money? So again, to recap, the 4 things we do in the home: we pick up the check and pick up the phone, we find the big money, we get referrals, and then we recruit. That's the 4 basics in every home. Now, here's the good news for when you're new. You may forget a part of that. You might miss one of those, but that's okay, because that's your client and you can always go back. You're building your book of business. I spent this past week, going back to current clients that were my clients, like the very first full year, like clients from 2017. And literally last week, I had 33 appointments. They're current clients. I sat 24 of them and I wrote down my numbers. I wrote 13 life applications for $6,943, 1 IUL that's $25,000 annual premium, and then 2 annuities for $330,000. That's all of current clients. That was people that I could serve to the next level that maybe I didn't do it right the first time around. Maybe I missed a step first time around. The goal is to hit all 4 of those. Those are the 4 basics. But guys, if you miss a step, you can call them right back up and say, you know what, Mike, Arcadia, I know when I was out there a couple of days ago, that appointment ran long and we go on to, but I was just going through your paperwork and I realized we did not set up your emergency response system and we need to get that done. I have a responsibility to make sure that there's names in your file that can let me know if something happens to you. So let's get that taken care of. Guys, you can always circle back. There's nothing wrong with that. I remember what it was like being new and trying to do all the parts. And then you're like, oh, I've been here a long time and they're going to be upset with me, and the pressures that we put on ourselves. But guys, it's okay. Again, it's messy. We're farmers. It's dirty. It's not going to be perfect. But if you keep doing it and you keep circling back to do the next thing that maybe you forgot to do last time, we don't just set it and forget it. Oh, I forgot to do the ERS, but I'm afraid to call them. No, that's your client. They already trust you. They gave you their social. They gave you your banking, right? They trust you. Call them up and say, hey, it ran a long time. Let's get this part taken care of. Or hey, when we were there last, I forgot to mention we're hiring, right? Call them back and just get it done. So that's the 4 things we do in the home. So the other things that kind of to really wrap this up is I cannot undersell the events. Like it's not, or oversell. The point being, you got to go. You have to go to the events. Jake and I have never missed an event. When I first started, I was doing that 1 day a week. And our first big event was National Convention after I started. And that was in January. And I was just a part-timer, 1 day a week. I wasn't writing a lot of premium on like leaderboards and stuff because I was just working 1 day a week. And we had to decide, are we going to go to this or not? And it really came down to the fact that, for one, our upline, it was a non-negotiable. Like, if you want to do the things to be successful here, you have to go, because that's where the training's at. It's kind of like saying, I want to be a doctor, but I never want to actually go into the hospital, right? You got to go. That's where the leadership is. That's where the trainers are. So you got to go. So we went, and what I found there, it was totally not what I expected at all. But what I found there were people like me that were crushing it. I was thinking, here I am, middle-aged mom, been out of the workforce for 12 years. Like, I'm making some money on the side, but is this really something I can get after? Until I got there. And there was like Michelle Allman and Minerva Profil and all of these leading women. That's what I was looking for. Can someone like me do it? Who were moms, who had been out of the workforce. And these people were making multiple 6 figures. And I'm like, well, if they can do it, then I can do it. I just got to learn to do what they do. And you make those connections at the events. So leading up to that national convention, the most I had ever issue paid, like business that, you write and then actually gets approved and the client paid for it. The most I had ever written in a month, doing that 1 day a week, was like just under 14,000. And when we got back from that national convention, I went out into the field the very next week and I ran 2 days of business and wrote over $17,000 in that 2 days. And from then on, I knew, not only does this machine work, because come on, the machine works, but it works for me. And I knew the machine worked because when I was at the event, when I was at that national convention, Fitzgerald was on stage, and he was one of the first people outside of Andy to make $1 million in the Alliance. And Stephen Davies was on stage, and he was the youngest person in the Alliance to make $1 million. And Diane Lampy, she was on stage. She was the fastest to make $1 million. And then Paul Roberts, he was on stage, and he had been at that time the most recent to make $1 million in this business. But all I kept hearing was made $1 million, made $1 million, made $1 million. I knew the machine worked. Too many people were making way too much money for me to doubt the machine. So then it was, can it work for me? And after that event, when I went out and did more in 2 days than I had done in any 1 month prior, I knew this machine can work for anybody if they follow the basics. Go to the events, plug into training, and listen to their upline. That's all it takes. And then it's just a matter of, how quickly can you wash, rinse, and repeat? How quickly are you willing to get out there and make a mess? Because the people I have seen get success the fastest here are the ones that are willing to get in the fight and be messy, because we can always clean it up. Jake and I were prior military, and I was on the bomb squad. I did explosive ordnance disposal, and that's just the Army's, name for the bomb squad. Mistakes there were deadly, right? Mistakes there were deadly. You couldn't afford mistakes. Here, there's not a mistake you can make that you can't go fix with a signature and a date. Like, oh, I filled that paper out wrong. The underwriter's going to tell me, and I got to go back and line through it and have them initial and date it right. There ain't no mistake here you can't fix without a signature and a date. So go make a mess. Go make the biggest mess you can possibly even conceive to make. And I promise you, you will find success along the way. So as you build your book of business, you will get to the point to where that's what you do now, is you are just tending your crops. That's what you're doing. You're just tending your crops. And Megan Wood, who is the #1 personal producer in the company, she was last year. She is right now this year, and she was the year before. Her superpower is following up with her clients faster. She follows up with her clients faster than anyone else. She's not waiting for an annual review. She's doing that week review. Oh, by the way, I did forget this when I was there last time. Let's go ahead and take care of that. So the faster you're willing to fail, the faster you will succeed. So let's see if I've hit my things here. So family reunion coming up. Y'all, we are going to be there. All the top producers are going to be there. There's a whole list. Mark Assetta is going to be there. Andy Albright's going to be there. Jane Albright's going to be there. That woman is my heart. You want to talk about a fierce warrior? Right there. Jane Albright, you want to get to know her. You want to get to know her. You want to be in this fight along somebody who has the grace of an angel and the spirit of a lion, because that woman is fierce. But you'll never be able to tell it under that Southern charm that she has. And I love that woman. And I can't wait for you guys to come out and just meet the people I love, meet the people we respect, meet the people that are doing the things you want to do so they can teach you how. So Mike, I guess that's what I've got for this evening. I don't know if I've hit what you wanted me to hit, but that's what I got.
Yep. No, that's what we do. That's what we do. It's about going out there, messing it up, and building that client book. I know. I was talking to Mark and he said, I've got so many clients right now. I could not run leads for a whole year and be fine and still make over 400,000 from Forrester Strong Foundations I wrote 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago that I'm converting them. They're close to 65. So we have to convert it now. So a lot of people don't really understand that at the beginning. But like that's coming, like it's, you don't see all the money up front, even though you can make really good money fast. I know for us, like I've made more money fast than we have in other things, but not nearly what you're going to make 2-3 years from now, because you're building your book of business. You're going to be able to go back later and convert clients, add things on. Your clients are going to have kids. They're going to move it. They're going to get a new job where maybe they can go from a normal term to a big IUL, and if you quit on those clients, they're going to go to someone else. You know what I mean? Someone else will follow up with them. So I'll do this, Belle, because we definitely, that was perfect. I would like a few people to ask a couple questions. And if there's anybody that has a question for you, just to hear from a different voice, I'm all for it. So if you have a question, anything for Belle, you guys put it in the chat. Let's see what questions that we have. We'll answer 2 or 3 questions and then we'll go from there. And then Belle, you said, what did you make last week with the new?
So last week, let's see. Once it's all issue paid, our commissions are going to be about $34,000 once it all issues. But I wrote 13 life applications for just under $7,000, an IUL that has a $25,000 annual premium, and then 2 annuities totaling $330,000.
Wow. So 34 grand in a week of time. What some people literally work 35, 40 hours a week for a whole year, you did in a week. So that's amazing. So any last questions before we let Belle go? It can be anything. In home, I have a new agent. Okay, so let's see this. What type of leads do you like to get, Belle? And I see Dave.
So when I first started, because like I said, right now I'm working current clients, but my current clients came from leads. Like that was the base. When I first started, I would do a mix. Older leads, we call them reworks or rework twos. Leads that were not, like I wasn't the first agent to have them. And then once I got my phone skills down, then I started getting some of the newer leads. I didn't get new leads to start with, because my skill wasn't where it needed to be. I needed activity to develop my skill. And so what I needed was 50 new names to call each week, 50 new names each week. And that can be friends and family, that can be leads, that can be warm market, but you need at least 50 new names and numbers to call every week. And I did that. And what I love right now, Mike, I have to tell you, our rework twos right now are golden. They're golden because 2 years ago, COVID wasn't a thing. So somebody who sent in a lead 2 years ago and maybe didn't let someone run an appointment with them or just didn't see the value in it, they have changed their mind because it's a new world now. It's a new world now. So if you can get those 2-year-old leads, they're like $3. $3. You close one of those, you've made, what's the ROI on that? You know, $500 for a $3. I mean, it's insane the amount of money you can make here, but you also help that person because that person's had a mindset shift on how they see how a final expense plan can help them or a mortgage protection can help, because we're living in a different world now. So I don't think people before COVID thought they were going to live forever, but it really wasn't on the forefront of their mind, their mortality. COVID brought that to the forefront of their mind and made people want to plan. And so if you can get those older leads, they are gold. They're gold. Just go get them. Call them up, schedule an appointment, and go see how you can help them out.
Yep. And so one last thing, and then I'm going to get to Dave's question. So when you're, because same thing, I didn't start on brand new leads. I actually, the only thing that was in our area was A1 final expense, direct mail leads. And I sold them just as much as I sell brand new leads. You're going to have brand new leads that they filled it out last week. They don't remember, they're mad at you, blah, blah, blah. And you're going to have super old leads where if you just get in the home, you know, they like you, they trust you. Maybe what they got at the time was not the best thing for them. It was a brand new agent that got them a guaranteed issue when, you know, they're just on high blood pressure medicine. Right. They could get a smart UL, right? So you just, but where was I going with that? I forgot where I was going with that.
Dials.
Anyways. Okay. So yeah. So, do you do any internet leads or is it all basically direct mail produced from the Alliance?
So when I started, we didn't have the internet leads. And so all we had was our direct mail. And well, I say we didn't have internet leads. We had call-in leads where people would call in over the phone because they would get that marketing in the mail. Instead of filling it out, they would call the 1-800 number. So we had call-in leads, and we had TV commercial leads where they would run commercials in different larger areas and people could call the 1-800 number at the end of the commercial. And then we had the direct mail leads. And that was really what we had to start with. And the thing to remember when it comes to leads, all it is a name and a number and a reason to have a conversation about insurance. That's all it is. And it doesn't matter how you got it. It doesn't matter. Well, legally it does. I mean, like you can't just go scamming people for their information, but I mean, it doesn't matter what type of lead source it is or how old it is. It's a name and a number and a reason to have the conversation. And as soon as you get them on the phone, they say hello, it's an A lead. You got a shot. So it doesn't matter where it came from. If they say hello, or if they answer the door when you door knock it, it is now an A lead because you get an opportunity to talk to someone to schedule that appointment or on a door knock to go ahead and run that appointment. Again, the whole point is getting in front of as many people as possible. And when you're new and your skill isn't that great, and like, y'all, I forgot how to speak English. I'm from this Southeastern Kentucky. Some people will argue I've never known how to speak English. But when I made my first set of dials, I was so scared and tongue-tied. Like there was times I just like, don't let them answer, don't let them answer. And then they'd answer and I'd freeze. When you do that with a $3 lead, you can forgive yourself. When you do that on a $90 lead, you feel like you want to go throw up. So I would say get your experience on the other things until you're so smooth when you talk on the phone. It sounds like you've just called Mike up to ask him to, hey, let's meet at Starbucks on Tuesday around 3 o'clock. When you can sound that smooth on the phone, buy your A leads, because that's the only difference. Those older leads are there to help you develop your skill. And the only way to develop that skill is through activity. It's like the only way to get good at push-ups is to do the push-ups. You can buy an advantage in this business, but you cannot buy your way out of the work. You still have to do the work. So that's what I have to say about leads.
Yep. No, for sure. And then that's the other thing. Let's say someone is getting a stack of leads and you're brand new, and obviously even if they're A leads, but especially reworked leads, obviously the newer the leads, the more likely they to answer, less disconnected numbers, all that.
Mhm.
Are you door knocking? Like, are you door knocking a lot of the leads that don't answer? Are you door knocking all of them? When do you throw a lead away? When do you move on? When do you, when
So
do you call quits on that lead?
I never throw a lead away. I have this file cabinet back here, and that bottom drawer is leads that I never got a hold of for some reason or another. And I will still go back to those at different seasons in this business. So the only time, and I can't even say I do it then, if somebody tells me that the person has passed away, and then I just, whoever's on the phone who tells me, I try to get their contact, and now they're the new lead. Because hey, you just had somebody who passed away who was looking for life insurance when it happened. Let's not let that happen to you. So I don't give up on a lead until they pass away or they become my client. Now, I don't always call it first thing the very next dial session. So there is I always call my newer, and by newer I mean new to me, the stuff I just got in. I always dial through that first. But if I don't have my appointments yet, and there's still dial time, then I'm pulling out last week's stuff, and I'm pulling out the week before. And my door knocks are for when I get no shows, or if I just can't seem to book an appointment. So you're always in this consistent cycle of you're either at an appointment because you booked it, or you're door knocking someone you couldn't get a hold of for some reason, or who hung up on you, or because I door knock my hangups, because I honestly believe the only reason they hung up is because they misunderstood why I was calling. And it's my job to bring clarity to that situation. So I will go door knock them so I can show them the form they sent in, or I can, let them know, hey, this is the day and time that you went online and you filled it out and you gave this code word. I realize I may have sounded like a telemarketer because I spend a lot of time on the phone, but I promise you, I work right here where we live. That makes a big difference. So you're in this perpetual cycle of either sitting with appointments that you booked, or if there's a gap in your schedule, you're door knocking and you're trying to resolve those leads. So my
Yep.
leads
And I don't know about you, but even if they hang up on me or are rude to me, I still show up. I don't know.
Mhm.
There's something about the people that are sometimes mean on the phone. They're nice in person.
Mhm.
Anybody can flex their muscles over the phone, but when you show up with a smile, you never know if they just had a bad day or a fight with their spouse, or
Yeah.
they saw a political commercial that they hated, and then you called and they're like, get out of here. You never know, right? So,
Yep.
I've some of my biggest policies were from people that hung up on me, couldn't get a hold of, and I showed up and they were, oh yeah, we just didn't answer because it was on an identified number or whatever. So, okay, last thing, and then we'll let you go. Dave asked, hold on. He's got okay, I have a new agent doing their first dial session tomorrow. She's on the call. What advice would you give a brand new person so they can get mentally prepared?
Couple things. Don't take anything that the people on the phone say personal. They don't know you. If they hang up on you, they're not hanging up on Belle Crause. They don't know Belle Crause. They're hanging up on someone who inconvenienced them, right? So don't take it personal. Get off that roller coaster ride to begin with. And then y'all gonna laugh because I'm about to reveal some personal, like, preparatory mindset work that I do. I have a playlist. Y'all, I listen to my fight songs. If it's a dial day, when I get up at that morning, it's on in the shower, right? I love The Score. That's the band for me, right? The Score is the name of that. And they have several songs in there that Glory is one of them, and Fight the Fear is another one. And I listen to those things. By the time I get on that phone, I am like the most empowered woman that you can ever meet. I have put the armor of God on. Sorry, y'all, I'm a faith-based person, and I get that on every morning, and I do my affirmations so that when I pick up that phone, I know I'm booking my appointments today. It may not be the first 10 people I talk to. That's okay, but ain't nobody stopping me from booking what my family needs done, because I am chosen and purposed for this. And this is what I'm setting out to do. And if I have to go out and door knock it the next day, I'm getting in front of people and we're going to make it happen. And so they can bring the negativity. 1,000 may fall at my right, 1,000 may fall at my left, but I am moving forward in faith, knowing that this machine works. I just got to put in the gas. And as long as I don't let off the gas, ain't nobody can stop you from doing what you want to do here. If you want to put food on the table next week, you got to put the elbow grease in this week. And somebody might be rude on the phone, but that's okay. That's okay. Rudeness ain't going to stop me from feeding my family, right? Somebody's bad attitude ain't going to stop me from showing up and say, I think we had a misunderstanding, right? You got to put yourself in that mindset where you are invincible. You know what? Come break, you got to do it all over again because it wears off like that, right? So I just get in the zone. I get in the zone, and it's funny to watch because like I am like jumping around in my office. I am like I am superwoman when I pick up that phone, and you can't stop that. That is not something that somebody on the other end can turn off. I'm in total control.
That is the big thing there. And having the mindset that knowing you're going to suck, like you are going to be bad, you are going to be terrible. And just knowing like you will get good at some point. We were all bad.
Yes.
I remember I've done lots of, like I said, our past career, I've done sales, we've had scripts, things like that, but it's different when you're talking to a different type of person on the phone. I remember my first day doing, one of the things I did with my upline was it was my first day. I was getting ready to dial. I was nervous. I was like, I'm just going to do it. And they're like, are you ready? Have you gone through the objections? I'm like, I'll figure it out. And he said, dial me. And I dialed him, and he gave me the objections. And I was like, like literally, you're going to be like that. And so even though when you practice with your upline, it's not the same as when that first lead, I remember your heart's pumping, your hands get sweaty, but you just have to get over it. And eventually you'll get good. Like anything that's worth doing is going to take time to get good at. And so you can think, you can watch all the videos you want, you can get on all these calls, but you can watch tons of videos on how to work out. If you don't work out, you ain't going to get fit. Like I could watch all kinds of videos on how to shoot a basketball, but I'm not going to shoot a basketball like the guys on the TV. Well, I'm never going to shoot a basketball that well, but at least get like efficient, you know what I mean? And so thank you so much.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to speak on fear for a second. I served in the Army for 8 years. I was on the bomb squad. I did some scary stuff. And the thing that I learned is when you take the mystery out of it, when something becomes routine, it's no longer scary. It's no longer scary. When you're working with C4 and stuff like that on a regular basis, you're no longer nervous around explosives. It doesn't bother you because you know what you're doing. These dials, my hand shook. My hand shook the first dials I made. But the more you do it, my husband used the example of skydiving. Like you can be petrified to skydive, but if you go skydiving 2 times a week, every week for 6 months, by the end of the 6 months, you ain't scared anymore. It's just something that you're doing, right? Okay, I'm gonna, get my gear together. I'm gonna get out there to the field. I'm gonna get on the airplane. We're gonna activity overcomes fear. Activity overcomes fear. So the more scared you are, just go do it, and you'll realize there's nothing to fear. It was the unknown. All we got to do is get coaching and get better. That's it.
Yep. Anything that you do over and over again, it becomes irrelevant. It's just like Steve Irwin, like right with the crocodiles and the lions. He's like, crike. And you're just like, this guy's crazy, but he's done it so many times. It's just second nature to him. And last thing on a book, if anyone wants a great book on overcoming fear, there's a book by Susan Jeffers. It's called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. It's unbelievable. I remember when I had to make prospecting calls for my last business, and just one of the things, I was just so nervous about getting into action, and it's just called Feel It. That's a great book. Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. Thank you so much, Belle. You're amazing. We can see why you're one of the top earners with the Alliance. We're going to get this recording out to everybody. Look forward to seeing you speak at the next events, and keep watching your team grow. So love you. Appreciate you. Everybody have a great night. We're going to resume this next Sunday evening, and let's go have a killer May and get steam rolling into reunion. See y'all. Thanks, Belle.
Thanks, Mike.